Alright, Hubranksters, it's been a hot minute since we dived into the tech news, but today I've got a whopper for you. The PlayStation 6. Yep, you heard that right. It might just be on the horizon way sooner than any of us anticipated. All this juicy info comes courtesy of notebookcheck.net, so big shout out to them. Now let's dive right into what they had to say. It appears we are in the season of console leaks, with reports about upcoming Xbox, Nintendo Switch, and PlayStation machines seemingly being a daily occurrence. This time, Paul from Red Gaming Tech has revealed release date information, as well as some interesting tidbits about the next-gen Xbox and PlayStation 6 consoles. First up, Paul reports that, according to multiple sources, the PS6 will launch in late 2027 or early 2028, possibly around 18 months later than the launch of the next-gen Xbox. This means that the next-gen Xbox might be coming in 2026. The reason for the delayed launch of the PS6 could be that the Xbox design started before the PlayStation 6 and is further along. Furthermore, Sony is presumably still getting developer feedback for the PS6 hardware design. Microsoft also reportedly wants to launch first with a console that is a marked upgrade over the Xbox Series X but doesn't cost an arm and a leg, which makes sense. It is quite well known that Sony and Microsoft sell gaming consoles at cost or even at a loss, especially during the start of a console generation. However, this strategy is a double-edged sword. On one hand, users expect substantially more powerful consoles every new generation, for which companies develop machines based on new silicon with sophisticated hardware, which increases the price. But on the other hand, these new consoles also need to be priced reasonably to attract gamers. To that end, companies try to achieve a balance between performance and price while subsidizing console hardware to ensure robust sales. This is exactly what Sony will have to do for the PlayStation 6 if Paul's assertion that the bill of materials aka BOM of the PS6 is seemingly quite a bit more than the PS5 is accurate. The leaker further maintains that, for the PS6, Sony is primarily focused on things like substantial improvements in RT alongside advanced physics simulations. Sadly, we have no idea in what way these proposed advanced physics simulations will manifest in games. However, one can expect things like much improved destructible environments, more interactivity between the players and the game world, etc. It is important to mention that the PS6 and next-gen Xbox details provided by Paul could be way off the mark, as the design and development of the consoles, particularly the PS6, could be in very early stages. And that's a wrap on the article, but as always, let's read between the lines and understand the wider implications. If Xbox does beat Sony to the punch by releasing their next-gen console a year or so earlier, what could that mean for the gaming landscape? Here's my take on it. Traditionally, in the tech world, the first mover enjoys a considerable advantage. Think about it. Gamers are eager for the next big thing, and if Xbox provides a console that's a marked upgrade from their current setup, it could pull a significant chunk of the market share. Being first often means capturing the attention and wallets of consumers before they've even considered the alternatives. Another considerable advantage is the head start in game development. With an earlier console release, developers can start optimizing and launching exclusive titles for the Xbox sooner. By the time Sony steps into the arena with the PS6, Xbox could already have a robust library of next-gen games, giving them an undeniable edge. Launching first allows Xbox to gather user feedback, iron out any issues, and potentially release hardware or software updates by the time the PS6 hits the market. This continuous improvement, based on real-world user feedback, can be invaluable in refining the overall gaming experience. Last but not least, the sheer hype and marketing momentum of being the first next-gen console on the scene can't be underestimated. Gamers are a passionate bunch, and the buzz created by an earlier Xbox release could overshadow Sony's subsequent PS6 launch, at least in the short term. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Being the first mover also means taking on the brunt of the risk. If the next-gen Xbox has significant issues, it could tarnish their reputation, giving Sony a chance to learn from these mistakes and capitalize on them. All in all, if these speculations hold, the next few years in the gaming world are going to be a roller coaster ride of excitement, innovations, and intense competition. Whether you're Team Xbox or Team PlayStation, one thing's for certain, gamers are in for a treat. Alright, let's shift gears for a moment and dive into some not-so-stellar news. All credit, or perhaps blame, goes to Ubermenschmania for the scoop, so if you've got any grievances, direct them his way. In a recent revelation, Sony has begun sending out notifications to a number of its current and past Sony Interactive Entertainment personnel. These notices are to alert them about a breach in their system that transpired earlier this year in May. These aren't a handful of warnings either. We're talking about alerts sent out to a staggering 6,800 individuals. Bleeping Computer reported on this, and in a follow-up, it was confirmed by Sony that yet another breach occurred just a few months later in September. So, who's behind this intrusion? A ransomware faction named CL0P has stepped up, asserting they were the ones who infiltrated a Sony server back in June. It appears the gateway for this intrusion was a vulnerability present in the MoveIt transfer platform Sony utilized. This isn't an isolated incident with Sony alone. Many other establishments have fallen victim to cyber attacks via MoveIt. Now here's where things take an even more unsettling turn. The vulnerability was already flagged by Progress Software, the developers behind MoveIt Transfer, on May 31st. Upon this revelation, Sony discovered that the breach had actually occurred 3 days prior on May 28th, during which the hackers had successfully extracted data from the server. The data in question pertains to personally identifiable information, P, of employees based in the U.S. The silver lining? Sony is extending credit monitoring services for the affected individuals and has addressed the vulnerability. As we shift our focus to the subsequent breach, Sony initiated a probe last month when hackers pilfered 3.14 gigabytes of data. This server, located in Japan, was designated for internal tests related to Sony's Entertainment, Technology, and Services segment. Files leaked in this breach consisted of data from the SonarQube platform, certificates, a license generator, Creators Cloud, among others. Though Sony's statement assures that this incident hasn't hampered their operations, it does underscore the constant and ever-evolving threats of the digital world. Alright folks, diving deep into the Sony data breach, there are a few crucial takeaways. The digital landscape is evolving, and hackers are keeping up, constantly adapting their methods and strategies. It's kind of like a game, but with very real-world consequences. Sony's reaction time was a bit concerning. They acted after the warning signs, a lesson for all companies to stay proactive rather than reactive. However, it's commendable that Sony owned up to the breach and shared the details transparently. Remember, this isn't just about faceless data. It's about personal details of real people, people like you and me. The two attacks on Sony were distinct, underscoring that threats are multifaceted. While we expect companies like Sony to uphold their end in safeguarding our data, it's also on us, the users, to stay vigilant. Regular password changes and cautious online navigation are simple but vital steps. Bottom line, our data might never be 100% bulletproof, but with companies and individuals both on guard, we can certainly make it much harder for potential hackers. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. If you found this informative, make sure to hit that like button and consider subscribing for more updates. Until next time, stay safe and game on.